Faith is one of life's greatest mysteries. It can inspire courage, move mountains, and bring peace in the darkest moments. But what happens when our faith is tested? How do we hold on to it when everything around us seems to be falling apart? Nearly 2,000 years ago, Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, faced trials that would shake anyone to their core. He stumbled, he doubted, and yet he emerged with a faith so strong that it changed the world. His journey holds secrets, timeless principles that reveal how to cultivate a faith that stands firm in the face of any storm. In this video, we'll uncover 3 ancient secrets from Peter's life and writings. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical steps you can take to build a faith that endures even life's toughest challenges. Step out of the boat. One of the most powerful and memorable moments in Peter's journey of faith is the night he stepped out of the boat and onto the water. It's a scene filled with tension and awe, captured in the Gospel of Matthew 14:22-33. Peter and the other disciples are in a boat, battling rough waves in the dead of night, when they see something or someone walking toward them on the water. Terrified, they think it's a ghost. But then, a voice calls out, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid. It's Jesus." Peter, always bold, responds with a remarkable request. "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." And Jesus says one word, "Come." At that moment, Peter does something extraordinary. He steps out of the boat and begins to walk on the water toward Jesus. Imagine the courage it took to take that first step, to leave the safety of the boat and venture into the unknown. For a moment, Peter's faith holds him up, and he experiences the miraculous. But then fear creeps in. Seeing the wind and the waves, he begins to sink and cries out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reaches out his hand and catches him, saying, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" This story is more than a miracle. It's a lesson in faith. Peter didn't fail because he began to sink. He succeeded because he stepped out of the boat in the first place. Jesus didn't rebuke him for sinking. He rebuked him for doubting, because doubt is what interrupts faith. How often do we stay in the safety of our boats, our comfort zones, when we feel God calling us to step out into something greater? The lesson here is clear. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act despite fear. Peter's story reminds us that the first step of faith often feels the hardest, but it's also the most important. Without it, we never experience the miraculous. Peter's boldness to step out of the boat, even for a brief moment, teaches us that faith is not about perfection. It's about trust. Even when we falter, God's hand is there to catch us and lead us back to safety. Jesus' invitation to Peter comes, the same invitation he extends to us today. When we face challenges or feel called to something greater, the first step is often the hardest. But just like Peter, we can trust that God will meet us on the water. Feed my sheep. After the resurrection of Jesus, Peter experiences one of the most profound and transformative moments of his life. It happens on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, a quiet but powerful encounter recorded in the Gospel of John 21:15-19. For Peter, this is not just a meeting, it's a moment of redemption. Let's set the scene. Not long before this, Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, fearing for his own safety as Jesus was arrested and led to the cross. The guilt and shame of his failure must have weighed heavily on him. And now, face to face with the risen Christ, Peter is given a chance to be restored. Jesus asks Peter a simple but piercing question. "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter replies, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus responds with a command, "Feed my lambs." He asks the question again, and then a third time, "Do you love me?" Each time, Peter affirms his love, and each time, Jesus gives him the same instruction, "Feed my sheep." This exchange is deeply symbolic. Just as Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, Jesus gives him 3 opportunities to affirm his love and commitment. But this moment is not just about redemption, it's about responsibility. By telling Peter to feed my sheep, Jesus is entrusting him with the care of his followers. He's calling Peter to a life of service, one that will strengthen not only Peter's own faith, but the faith of others. The lesson here is profound. Faith is not just about belief, it's about action. True faith is strengthened when we step outside of ourselves to serve and care for others. It's in these moments of selflessness that our faith becomes unshakable, grounded in love and purpose. How often do we see challenges or failures as the end of the story? Peter's story shows us that failure is not final. In fact, it's often the beginning of something greater. Jesus doesn't reject Peter for his denial. He restores him and gives him a mission. In the same way, our past mistakes don't disqualify us from living a life of faith and service. They prepare us for it. When Jesus says, "Feed my sheep," he's not just speaking to Peter. He's speaking to all of us. Faith grows when it's shared, when we step into the lives of others and offer love, support, and guidance. It's not about being perfect, it's about being willing. Peter's second secret is clear. Faith grows stronger when it moves beyond words and becomes a life of service. By feeding others, whether through kindness, encouragement, or support, we build a faith that is rooted in love and unshakable in its strength. Faith refined by fire. Faith is often described as a journey, but Peter shows us that it is also a process, a refining process, like gold being purified in fire. In his first letter to the early Christians, Peter writes these powerful words, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now, for a little while, you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." 1 Peter 1:6-7. Peter's imagery of faith as gold refined by fire is profound. Just as gold is placed in the heat of a furnace to remove impurities and become stronger, so too is our faith tested and purified through trials. These moments of difficulty are not meaningless. They are opportunities for growth, endurance, and transformation. Peter himself understood this better than most. He had faced his own fires moments of doubt, failure, and suffering. He had walked through the anguish of denying Jesus 3 times, only to be restored by him. He had experienced persecution and imprisonment for his faith, and through it all, his faith didn't just survive, it became unshakable. Trials have a way of exposing what we truly believe. They strip away the superficial and force us to confront the core of our faith. For Peter, the trials he endured became stepping stones that deepened his trust in God. His message to the early Christians reflects this hard-earned wisdom. Suffering, though painful, is not without purpose. It shapes us, strengthens us, and prepares us for something greater. This lesson is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. How often do we see trials as something to avoid at all costs? Peter reminds us that faith isn't built in comfort, it's forged in the fire of life's challenges. When we embrace these moments as opportunities for growth, We allow God to refine us, to remove our doubts and fears, and to build a faith that endures. Peter's third secret is this: faith refined by fire is faith that lasts. It's not shaken by the winds of circumstance because it has been tested and proven genuine. The fires of life may be difficult, but they prepare us to shine brighter, reflect God's glory, and stand firm, no matter what comes our way. Peter knew that the struggles we face today are temporary, but the faith they produce is eternal. His words challenge us to see trials not as barriers, but as opportunities, an invitation to trust God more deeply and to let Him shape us into who we're meant to be. Peter's life is a testament to the transformative power of faith. Through his journey, we discover that unshakable faith isn't something we're born with, it's something we build. It's forged in the moments when we step out of our comfort zones, when we serve others with love, and when we endure trials that test and refine us. The three secrets we've uncovered, stepping out of the boat, feeding the sheep, and embracing the fire, are not just lessons from the past. They're principles we can apply to our own lives. They remind us that faith is an active choice, a journey of trust, and a process of growth. Like Peter, we will face moments of doubt and difficulty. But his story shows us that these moments don't define us, they shape us. They are opportunities to draw closer to God, to deepen our trust, and to discover a faith that can withstand any storm. Faith doesn't eliminate life's challenges, but it gives us the strength to face them with courage and hope. Peter's hidden message is clear. No matter where you are in your journey, God is with you, inviting you to trust Him and grow in your faith. We'll continue exploring the timeless wisdom of the Bible, uncovering stories and lessons that guide us in our search for meaning, hope, and strength. Thank you for joining us on this journey.